Hello, Mickey Elias here with Elias Construction, and today we're going to talk about the uh, seventh part of the nine-part video series that is the 9 things you need to know before your next remodel. And today we're going to talk about preparing for the remodeling process. So the next 3 videos or topics that we'll talk about are going to be something that I reference a client handbook quite a bit about. So I'll talk about this once we get into it a little bit here today, but it's a great tool that we have. But before we get into that, what I'll talk about is a checklist that we have that when we sit down and finalize an agreement or a contract with a client of ours, some things that we go over to get documented and addressed proactively on the front end. So I'll go over that now and talk a little bit about those. So the first thing would be a lockbox and some of the details about that. So every project that we have, when a client moves forward, they get a lockbox. And then that is to be placed at the location that makes the most sense, which we finalize, whether it's the back door or whatever is the closest entrance to the construction area that makes the most sense. So that lockbox just has to be out by the first day of construction with the key in it. And that's how we get in, meet our inspectors, lock up at the end of the day, things like that. The next thing is dumpster location and parking details. So typically we have a dumpster that gets delivered the first day of construction, and then that's on site for the duration of the project and picked up once we're done. So we finalize what works best for the client. Is it the right side of the driveway, left side of the driveway, or what details work best for the client regarding that situation, and as well as parking. Can we use the driveway for parking? Things like that. So we get all that figured out so that our guys know what's going on when they show up. The next thing is bathroom use or porta potty. So we talk to our clients and just discuss, is there a bathroom that works for the clients for us and our guys to be using throughout the duration of the project? If not, do we need to get a porta potty on site? Things like that. The next thing would be water location, tool cleaning, things like that. So typically in the warmer months, it's not an issue. It's typically a hose spigot on the outside of the house where we can get water for mixing up mud and cleaning up brushes and things like that. But in the winter months where it's -20, we certainly don't want to be running somebody's hose or anything like that. So we kind of need to prepare for that in advance. Is there a laundry tub or something, or do we need to bring water, or what we can do based on that situation? The next thing would be start and end times for us and our guys. So typically we start at 7:30, 8 a.m., somewhere in that point. But if there's a specific time that a client says, no, I can't have anybody in my house before 8 a.m., then we certainly accommodate that. We know up front and let everybody know in advance, hey, 8 a.m. is the approved start time on this project. Same as if there's a specific time, in the afternoon or evening that clients say, we don't want anybody at your house after X amount of time, then we'll certainly accommodate that as well. But we need to know that in advance and let everybody know so they can plan accordingly. The next one would be any special instructions for pets, things like that. So are there cats? Will they be contained? Dogs, things like that. So we can let everybody know who's going to be on site so they can, again, plan proactively. The next thing would be, we talk about if it's pre-1978, we'd need to do some lead testing typically at that appointment, and then go through the details on how things work after that. As well as the best form of contact for the client. So if during the day we had a question that we needed to get answered, so we have the correct contact information. I mean, typically that's not something that happens, but just in case that we have that. And another thing that we go over at that point is our installation manual, which basically is a document that goes over from start to finish how we execute a project. So it tells our clients in advance how we're going to do things, how we're going to prep their house, how we're going to do demo, what we're going to do for framing, plumbing, electrical, HVAC, drywall, flooring, cabinets, in detail how those things work, how we would typically do it. So it gives the client the opportunity to ask us to do something differently. We'd certainly be happy to do that. And a great example is our standard shower head rough-in height is 80 inches off the subfloor. But let's say a client is shorter or taller and they would prefer their shower head roughed in higher or lower. that document gives them the knowledge to know up front what we're going to do and the opportunity for them to ask us to do it however they want it done, and we'd certainly accommodate that. So that's a great tool for clients to kind of understand what we're going to do before we do it. So now we'll get into some of the things that typically you would need to do, or things that would be suggested to do in preparing your house for the remodeling project. So I'll go through these now. So typically our clients are responsible for emptying the work area prior to us arriving. If it's a basement finish and it's typically being used as a storage area, the client would need to empty that out before we get started. If it's kitchen remodel, emptying cabinets, getting all those things cleaned out, emptying pantry closets, just getting everything cleaned out and ready for us to get started. Another thing would be remove wall decor from the work area if we're doing a kitchen or anything like that, as well as the back side of the walls. For example, bathrooms or kitchens and they're adjacent to a bedroom, remove the wall decor from the back side, so when we're tearing things apart and doing things, we're not knocking things off the wall on the back side, as well as removing any wall decor, knickknacks, furniture, things like that from the entry point of construction of the house to the construction zone. So if it's a front door, to the kitchen, removing wall decor and stuff, so when we're bringing materials in, we don't accidentally knock a picture off the wall or a knickknack or something like that. As well as if there's a bathroom approved for use, preferably removing any wall decor and knickknacks just in case, just to get that all covered. The next thing would be removing or moving any items that would be inside of a panel clearance. So typically on basically almost every remodel, we end up adding circuits or changing circuits or something like that to where we need an electrical panel inspection. And then there's panel clearances that are required in order for us to pass an inspection, which would be if you measure from the front of your panel out 36 inches, and then you need 30 inches in width from one side of the panel or the other, or centered, from the floor to the top of the electrical panel. So if you have anything in that cube area, such as a washer, a dryer, a freezer, or something like that, those would need to be moved in order for us to pass our inspection. Or if there's any other items that need to be addressed, we would need to address those. Typically, in the first meeting that I ever have with a client when I come out to their house for the first time to look at the project, I always take a look at the electrical panel, and then at least know ahead of time, and I can discuss with the client, these are some concerns that I have, or these are things that we would need to do. And then if necessary, I can build them into the price, so that I'm not a surprise later on in the project. Some of the older homes have a washer and dryer in a mechanical room, where they're right underneath the electrical panel and there's nothing you can do about it. That's how the house was designed, but they won't pass inspection. So we need to have those out for the electricians to do their work and to have our inspections approved. The next part, if we're doing any painting or anything like that in non-construction areas, such as you want us to paint a bedroom or a family room, but we're doing another part of the project, we need to have those furniture pieces and things removed as the schedule is written, where we're painting those, and moved away from the walls and things like that. So now we'll get into kind of going over our client handbook, which is a great tool, as mentioned earlier, and it kind of breaks the construction process up from pre-construction, active construction, and post-construction. So I'll kind of skim through things in the pre-construction section right now. It's basically a 16-page booklet that we've, right now we're on version 3.1, so we've spent quite a bit of time and a couple years now updating and perfecting this. So basically the pre-construction section goes through, the first part is where to shop, so that kind of talks about where you need to go. It lists all of our subcontractors and suppliers, basically anywhere you would need to potentially go to pick out a product or look at something. Not all will necessarily pertain to your project, such as if you're doing a bathroom remodel, you're certainly not going to need to go to our fireplace contractor's showroom. So that has our hours of operations, phone numbers, contact individuals, everything like that. And the next part goes into what decisions need to be made, and then a checklist of basically anything that would typically be selected for a project. So not all will pertain to your project, so you can go and cross those off, and then it creates a checklist for you and a place to keep track of that. Then it also goes into when do decisions need to be made. And then it talks about all the different products, the lead time. So when a client gets their project schedule, which all of our clients get a schedule within 2 weeks after we sign an agreement and get moving forward. And then they have their schedule, which tells them exactly when their cabinets are going in, tile, things like that, and they can refer to this. And then back date, I need to have my tiles selected by this date in order to keep on schedule. And then it goes into some information about our schedule, what to expect with that, selection and color assistance if you need any help there, window treatments, how the cabinet design process works, which is all pre-construction, and then how change orders and selection forms typically are the process on that. Most of that stuff's taken care of prior to active construction starting as well. And then it goes into how to prepare your house, which we kind of went over that as far as removing wall decor and things like that. So this is really a great tool that all of our clients get when they sign an agreement and get moving forward. So I'd like to thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video. And next time we'll get into what to expect during the actual remodeling process. So thanks again, and we'll talk to you next time.